Stepsister stole my fiancé and sent me postcards rubbing it in. Now they're broke and begging me for a job at the family business she was supposed to inherit. Hey everyone, before we dive in, I have a quick favor to ask. If you enjoy content like this, please hit the subscribe button. It's free, supports the channel, and ensures you never miss out on amazing videos. Alright, let's get started. I, 28F, was engaged to my boyfriend from college, Greg, at 23, and we had been together throughout our entire college journey. We had planned our wedding and were excited to marry after a year of engagement. But a week before our wedding, Greg and my stepsister Melissa ran off together. They eloped just before the ceremony and left nothing but a letter for me. In the letter, Greg explained that he had started an affair with Melissa months after we got engaged. He told me he realized that he couldn't marry me because it would be unfair to both of us, and especially to Melissa, as they were truly in love with each other. He believed the universe had used me to lead him to his true love, so he couldn't cheat us both out of a happy future by marrying me. That was it. They ran away, and I didn't see them again until recently. Greg's parents had paid for the entire wedding, so I didn't owe any costs, but it was the last interaction I had with their family, and since then, I hadn't heard from them. My family was even more embarrassed. My father, who is actually my stepdad but has been my father since I was little, was furious. He considered hiring a private detective to track them down and bring them back for answers. Just to clarify, my biological dad left when I was born, and my mother never met him again. He signed away his rights over me. My dad married my mother when I was 8, and I've always considered him my only father. I never knew my biological dad. Melissa and I used to attend the same school, and that's how our parents met. She was a bully, and throughout school, she made my life miserable. It didn't stop even when we were at home. She and her friends would constantly pick on me, and I complained to my parents multiple times, but it didn't help. Melissa wasn't afraid of punishment, so she continued to make my life a nightmare throughout my school years. By high school, she had already started smoking and hanging out with a bad crowd, sneaking out of the house to drink with her friends. It wasn't until she was arrested for breaking into someone's house with her friends that my parents decided to send her away to a rehabilitation center for troubled teens. She protested, but my father was firm, telling her that if she wanted to live with us and be a part of the family, she had to get better. After a few weeks of begging, Melissa reluctantly agreed. She left in our sophomore year and didn't come back until after we had graduated. I didn't care how she was doing. I was just glad to be rid of her bullying. My parents visited her every weekend, but I didn't want to go. Her friends started ignoring me, and things improved in high school because I didn't have to deal with her constant harassment. After rehab, Melissa apologized to me for the way she had treated me, and she seemed calmer. I decided to forgive her, and we gradually built a better relationship. When we started college, we both moved out. We'd only see each other for holidays, and she was much nicer. Not bullying me anymore, just ignoring me. I preferred it that way. She eventually apologized again for her past behavior, and I forgave her. As time went on, she seemed to genuinely want to improve our relationship, and that was when she started getting along with Greg. It was strange, but a relief, as I didn't expect her to treat me any differently. She said she wanted to build a relationship with me, and had realized that her past actions had been wrong. She attributed her change in behavior to the fact that Greg had mentioned how great his relationship was with his siblings during a dinner. She said Greg made her realize that family matters and that she wanted to be a better person. We weren't the best of friends, but we got along, and I thought we were in a better place. Greg and I continued to date, and when I got engaged, Melissa was there to help with the wedding preparations. We weren't close, but we weren't enemies anymore either. She even spent time with Greg, and they got along fine. I never suspected anything. They were both so convincing that I never thought to question them, even after we got engaged. I trusted her, and that's what hurt the most when I found out the truth too late. Greg and Melissa had been cheating on me with each other the entire time. They ran off together, and I found out when they were already gone. My family was upset, and my dad wanted to track them down and bring them back. But I convinced them to leave it alone, because I just wanted to forget everything. It was too much to handle, and I was devastated. A few weeks after the wedding, I received a postcard from Melissa. She was in California with Greg, and they looked happy together. The postcard felt like she was rubbing it in my face. She even mentioned how sorry she was for the surprise before my wedding, but it was obvious she wasn't sorry at all. That was when I realized that she had never forgiven me for sending her away years ago. She had used me to get to Greg, and I had been foolish to trust her. For months after that, Melissa sent me postcards of her and Greg. I didn't respond to any of them. I refused to play into their drama, and eventually, she stopped. It was over a year of torment before she gave up. My parents were furious, and they cut all ties with her. She lost everything. Her dad had been planning for her to inherit his business, but after her betrayal, he cut ties with her too. He told me that I could take over instead. Although I didn't have a business degree, I was willing to learn. My father said it wasn't a problem, and that he'd teach me everything he knew. I agreed and started working under him, learning the ropes so that I could eventually run the business. After a couple of years, I was promoted, and my father retired. It was an incredible feeling to have worked my way up from nothing. Now, the business is thriving under my leadership, and my parents can finally spend more time together without worrying about it. It's been this way for quite a while, and I pretty much stopped thinking about Greg after I started working for my father, because that took up all my time. That, along with therapy, helped me move on, and I would say now I've completely moved on and don't think about them or what they did. I never thought that they would ever reach out to me again, let alone ask for my help, because it would take a lot of guts and an utter lack of functioning brain cells to ask me to help them out after they screwed me over and made a fool out of me. Then went on to rub it in my face as well. But I guess that Melissa and Greg really do lack brain cells, because that's what they reached out to me for a few days back. I was at home because it was the weekend, and around lunchtime, I heard someone frantically ringing my doorbell. I thought it was the pizza that I had ordered, so I didn't think much of it. When I opened the door, I received the biggest surprise of my life when, instead of a delivery guy, I found Melissa standing outside my house looking really worried. I didn't know what to say, so I just silently waited for her to say something. While looking at her, I realized that she was definitely here to ask for help because she was looking destitute, and her appearance gave her away. Even as a kid, Melissa always used to dress well, but when I saw her, she was dressed in old clothes, which were all faded and had obviously been purchased a really long time ago. Her jeans were way too short, and she herself looked like she hadn't been eating. I had already made up my mind that whatever she was about to ask me, the answer was going to be no. So when she said that she needed me to help her out because she and Greg had been struggling for a really long time, ever since he had lost his job a couple of months ago, he had started drinking instead of looking for a new job. Even though she had been trying to find a job for herself, she couldn't because she had quit everything to stay at home and do all the household work when she first moved away with Greg. Because of that, she hadn't been working in the recent past, and the gap in her resume made her a weaker contender for all the jobs that she had been applying to. She said that she had heard from a couple of relatives that our father had retired and had handed over the reign of the business to me. So now she was here to ask me if I would be willing to hire Greg and give him something to do. Melissa told me that she had come all the way here only to ask me for help, and said that she was sorry for whatever she did in the past, but now she was counting on me to bail her out. She told me that she hadn't even approached our parents yet, and had come straight to my house to ask for help, because she knew that I had a kind heart, and she felt awfully guilty about betraying me in the past. But she was sure that I wouldn't turn her away now that she needed my help. Her entitlement was so ridiculous that I ended up laughing in her face and told her to apply somewhere else, because I don't hire cheaters. Then I shut the door on her face and walked back into the living room, preparing to call the cops if she didn't get off my property soon. Thankfully, she did go away that day, but she hasn't left me alone yet. After her visit, the first thing that I did was call our parents and tell them about it. They told me that they had heard from a couple of their neighbors that Melissa was back in town without Greg, but they hadn't brought it up. We live in a relatively small town, so everybody knows everybody. We were quickly able to find out that Melissa had been here for about a week before she finally paid me a visit, and had been living with one of her cronies from high school. It was probably her high school friend who had told her where I was living, and also about the fact that I had inherited the business that was rightfully supposed to be hers, and now she was really milking that. A couple of days after she visited me, she decided to go meet our parents to tell them how heartless I was being. She had expected them to be on her side now that she had the upper hand on who was suffering more, but she couldn't have been more mistaken because my father told her that the business was now mine to run, and I could make whatever decision I deemed fit. He didn't have any say in it anymore because he wasn't going to micromanage me, and my mother reminded her that she was the one who had screwed me over by running away with my fiancé after pretending to be my friend for years. Now she completely deserved whatever was happening to her. She had lost the right to ask any of us for help, especially me, after she had even been sending me postcards to torment me. She tried to defend herself by saying that it was all in the past and she's a different person now, but my parents told her that she had to leave because they wanted nothing to do with her anymore. That led to her throwing a tantrum at their house and claiming that they had always favored me over her and treated me like the golden child. She told my father that, in spite of being his own flesh and blood, he had never treated her like that and acted as if I was his only daughter and she was worth nothing to him. When he told her that he had made more allowances for her behavior in the past than any other parent in the world would, she said that it still didn't matter. I had everything that she was supposed to, including the business that I was showing off about. She said that it wasn't even her fault that Greg had fallen for her and wanted to spend his life with her instead of me, but for some reason, she was the one being punished for it. She claimed that the postcards that she had sent were meant to be a genuine apology, and she wasn't even trying to torment me. Honestly, I haven't been able to stop thinking about that since my father told me what she said. In a way, it's true that she was supposed to inherit this business and be in my place, but she really lost it because of her own actions. I had no part to play in that. I never told my father to cut her out of his life and hand over the business to me. He did it of his own volition. And it feels kind of unfair for her to blame me for this. Also, the thing that she said about me being the golden child is absolutely not true, but I can see why she would feel that way. Because in her head, she was the one who was sent away, because I complained about her and her incessant bullying. A parent deciding to send their kid away is a really big deal, and I know it was rough on my father, but again, that's not his fault or mine. If he hadn't taken the necessary steps to prevent it, Melissa might have turned out to be a criminal or something, because that's the way she was going. Apart from that, I don't really think she was trying to apologize with the postcards and was probably just trying to cover it up by saying that it was supposed to be a genuine apology. I just feel bad for her because her husband turned out to be completely useless, and now she has to bail him out for that. She actually came to me, and I can't imagine how difficult it must have been for her. So I kind of regret treating her the way that I did. I have everything now, and she is nothing. So I can't help but feel sorry for her. That's just who I am as a person. Besides, it has been a long time, and I don't feel like holding on to that grudge anymore. But I also don't want to help her out in any way. The most that I can do is give them my sympathy, but I really don't want to hire them or help them out with money. I think it's enough that I even feel bad for her after everything that she put me through. Most people probably wouldn't. Bad enough, the only reason I even feel bad for her right now is because this business was actually supposed to be hers, and now that I'm in a position of power, I'm finally getting back at her, and I just feel like it's not right. It might be because of what she said about me being the golden child, or maybe just plain old imposter syndrome, but I feel weird about this. So I don't know if I did the right thing by refusing to hire my ex-fiancé who eloped with my stepsister now that they're struggling with money and help them out. Update 1. I didn't have any idea what to do in the comments here. It just confused me even more, because some of you said that I was doing the right thing by turning them away, and the other half said that I had always been the golden child, and that is why Melissa started to act out. So this wasn't as helpful as I had thought it was going to be. I decided to talk to my parents, because every single time that I have had to face problems in my life, I've always approached my parents for advice, and I did the same this time as well. They told me that I had no reason to feel sorry for Melissa, because everybody had gone above and beyond to try and make her a better person. But if she wasn't willing to turn over a new leaf at any point in her life, then there was not much that we could do for her. My father told me that he had every intention of letting her take over the business had she behaved herself and been a good daughter, but she failed at everything and made a total mockery out of our family. After that, she would be a fool to expect him to let her take over or even be a part of the family anymore. And that made me feel considerably better because talking to my parents always does. So, I'll try not to let myself feel guilty about things that I don't do anymore. Update 2. About 1 week has passed since Melissa showed up at my door and since her visit to my parents. We haven't heard from her. I almost thought that she had gone back to California with Greg until today when she showed up at my workplace to make a scene. It was horrible because she just walked into the place. Since she had known the ins and outs ever since she was a child, she got in without alerting security quite easily. Then, she went on to take her place in front of my office and started to shout about how I had stolen this business from right under her nose by pretending to be a good little girl for our parents and constantly being a bootlicker so they would approve of me. Apparently, I was responsible for vilifying her by falsely accusing her of bullying me throughout our childhood and even talking my father into sending her to rehab, just so I could cement my position as the golden child of the family. She went on to announce that this business was supposed to be hers, but now I was refusing to even let her be a part of it because I was jealous that Greg had chosen her over me. Unlike our parents, who had always favored me, and since I wasn't used to being looked over, I lost my mind and turned our parents against her. When I heard the yelling, I decided to go out and check it out for myself after calling security. I tried to tell her to shut up, but she went on for a good few minutes until she was finally thrown out of the building. I decided to call my dad before calling the cops to get his opinion, and he was furious, so he told me to go right ahead and call the police. Thankfully, when the cops showed up, she was still lurking nearby, probably waiting for me to leave the building so she could yell at me or maybe do something worse, like physically attack me. The cops took her away and charged her with trespassing and disturbing the peace. But they're minor charges, and she can probably get off with either just a fine or maybe community service. Worst case scenario, but it's certainly going on record, and that's never good. I told my dad that she had been charged and arrested and expected him to be a little upset about it, but he only seemed exasperated and told me that he was just tired of this and wanted a break from having to deal with her insanity. I honestly feel bad for him because it can't be easy having a daughter like Melissa and being blamed for everything that goes wrong in her life, even though most of the time it's her own fault. Honestly, we have all been really patient. Update 3. Okay, so I think Melissa has returned to California because it's been a couple of days, and we haven't heard from her, which is weird because we expected her to lash out at us after her arrest. But my dad asked around and was told that a couple of people saw her heading towards the airport the other day, so I'm assuming that she has left. It's honestly a huge relief that she is gone now, because I was genuinely afraid that she was going to try to do something explosive to get our attention next, and that's always bad news. I don't know what she is going to do about the whole situation with Greg now, because it seems unlikely that she is going to get help from anyone else after this. I just hope that she finds something to do and gets out of this mess. And no, I'm not even being kind or compassionate right now. I have very selfish reasons to say this, and it's because I know that if she doesn't find a way out of this mess, then she will just come back here with Greg and bother us some more. And I don't want that. So I genuinely hope and pray that either she or Greg finds a job and is able to support themselves. Either way, I don't have to hear from her for a couple of weeks at least, and I believe that this nightmare is over now.